Welcome, I'm Dr. Saida with Redefining Femininity. It's an interview series with some beautiful and special people. Today's especially a fantastic guest. I haven't talked to Shashi in so long, but I love her so much. Gosh, I don't even remember when we met, but many years ago, I think at least 13, maybe 12 years ago, somewhere in a random place in Europe, Romania or something.
Romania, yes, Romania.
And it's been an amazing journey, and I'm really, really honored, Shashi, that you have the time to talk to us today. So let me just say this little bit about who you are, and then we'll jump in. Shashi Solluna is a Hay House author on the subject of Tantra and runs 5-week women's teacher trainings in the Tao Tantric arts. She's been learning and teaching for 18 years. And you forgot to say how epic your smile is. So there you go. So I want to jump in with a simple question in the beginning, and that's just, what does femininity actually mean to you personally?
It's not such a simple question because it's been a lifelong journey for me to explore. But I definitely would, if I picked one word, it would be nature. That's how I rediscovered my femininity, by going deeply into nature and undoing sexual conditioning and awakening my sexual nature. And I find that life force energy that runs through all the plants and the ocean and nature is exactly the vitality that wants to rise through our bodies and brings our feminine energy. Actually, the same in a man, it would bring his feminine energy, but it's especially important in a female body.
I love that because I happen to be ecosexual, so so I love
Exactly.
that definition. Okay, so Shashi, you've been on a pretty big journey. You've been trying a lot of things and traveling everywhere and exploring. And this definition of femininity being related to nature, is that new, or did it pop up really through an initiation of some kind or a particular moment in your life?
Oh, absolutely. A very clear moment. I had fallen in love, and I had a tantric lover who really opened me up, who I was with for 9 years. And a couple of years, maybe even 1 year into our relationship, I had a lot of pain in my pelvis. And I finally went and got a scan, and I had a cyst, and it was big. And they said, we're going to operate in 3 months. So I was like, I've got 3 months to heal this. So I learned Taoist female practices. I picked up some books about healing, and a book about the dark feminine that had been cut off really touched me. Mysteries of the Dark Goddess, I think it was. And I decided to move into the jungle here in Thailand, into just a place with a platform and a roof, no walls, and to do a 6-week retreat on my own in nature, doing sexual practices and just feeling into my sexuality. And in that, I realized I was very afraid of nature, afraid of the snakes and the dark and all of these things. But as I did practices and made space for that fear, it turned into sexual energy. So I literally became orgasmic all alone in the jungle, just by expanding into that fear instead of contracting and getting frightened. And my body would just start trembling and shaking and becoming orgasmic purely from nature, and transforming this fear back into life force.
That is
so
beautiful.
At the end of that, I had this realization that I had made it in the man's world. I had been in the army, I'd been to boys' boarding school, I was an economics scholar, I was a physics scholar, and I had proved myself in a world that told me that singing and dancing and being pretty and wearing bright colors was all unimportant and wouldn't earn money and was really just secondary. And so I awakened to reclaiming my femininity there in the jungle, like, I love to sing and I want to create. And in that awakening, the next day, I had so much pain in my pelvis, and I bent my knees, and I started going into labor, and all this blood came out. I knew it wasn't my period. I knew it was my cyst, and then I was finally letting it go. It had been a big ball of stagnation around my feminine sexual energy, basically. And so it was no longer needed. And so that's why I'm so passionate to lead women's work, because of my own experience.
Yeah, that's profound. And I love it because through your definition, through your experience, through your embodiment, you're really inviting each of us to come back into a more natural and profound relationship with our bodies. So thank you so much for that gorgeous story. I'm curious, Shashi, right now there's a lot of what I would call like divisive conversations discussions about masculinity and femininity. It seems like there's a lot of like hyperpolarization in not such a great light happening. And what I would love to see is a healing and a lot more harmony in that dynamic. And I'm curious if you would have like maybe a suggestion for us on a way to move forward with that.
Yeah, it's a big topic, and I'm with you on this. I really want to see the harmony. I am seeing the harmony. I just finished a Tantra festival yesterday, and just with a few hundred people, we're seeing this healing. But yes, it would be wonderful to see it globally. And I feel there are different steps to it. I feel that partly it's the conditioning of masculinity and femininity that is at war, rather than the nature of masculine and feminine. I think the nature of masculine and feminine are sublime together, but the conditioned parts have gone disconnected from spirit and from heart. So I feel forgiveness is very important, and forgiveness isn't just jumping to saying I forgive you, but being heard. So men and women need to be heard by the opposite gender of their pain and how they're being hurt, because that all needs to be kind of cleared out first. And when we really hear, then our heart opens into compassion, and we can really genuinely say, please forgive me. So I hold a lot of big rituals for this process between men and women. So I think that's one really crucial thing. And I think another is to find also our sovereignty. Like I said at the beginning, men also have feminine energy. They also have Shakti. And women also have a masculine. We can hold and contain ourselves. And if you can find both elements within yourself and be whole, and then when you meet, you can still play with polarity, but it's not a dependency. It's not a neediness. It's more of a joy to play to. You know that you're one and whole and complete. And play as two and let the energy run and make love in that, and that's more joyful than feeling like you need something from outside. And if you create separation, like I'm all feminine and you're all masculine, then you can easily also from that separation start creating projections of like, well, the masculine's all dark and scary and women all lovely, and or whatever is coming up. But that's a lot now. We hear toxic masculinity, and men are becoming the enemy. And if we follow that through to its completion, we would end up really separate. We will stop making love and making babies, and it would be the end of the human race. So we do need to do healing on all of this.
Yeah, I agree. And I really love that there's two pieces to what you're offering. One is, come to sovereignty, like do your work, own your stuff, and start to really look within yourself on your own relationship with your femininity, with your masculinity personally first. And from that place of much more integration and softness and open-heartedness, then we can lean in and get curious and start to really listen and hear one another and offer, our vulnerable underbellies. And from there we can move into a more harmonious dynamic, which can be really fun when those dynamics play together.
Yeah, and you're right. Like it is better in that order. Like the sovereignty is so important, because often it's just a projection that we've rejected our own masculine, or it's distorted, and then we project that onto every man that we meet, and maybe our father was in all these complex things. And so even just a simple practice where you place two pillows and you let one be your masculine and one be your feminine, and you sit on each and you have a conversation. It's so enlightening to start looking inwards rather than always outwards, and see what the inner relationship is like.
And actually, wouldn't that be an act of, part of the receptivity nature of the feminine, the inward going, which is the entire cosmos is held within. So there's the entrainment of, I think, the mainstream to, yes, look out and see what's happening and connect, but also, yes, connect and look what's happening here, and let's equally validate from this space. I really appreciate that perspective. Before we go, I know that you have another little tidbit that you want to leave us with, something that, why is it important for us to start redefining femininity? And just give us a little something for that before we part ways.
Why is it important? Well, it's more than just about our sexuality. It is about our planet. Interesting, someone just starts doing some work next door in this moment, because I live on a beautiful island and I watch all the beauty getting cut down and developed and developed and developed. And I think that is such a reflection of how our relationship is with the feminine. whatever body we're in, if we don't start to really see her and value her and interact with that life force energy, then it's just a tree. We can just cut it down. But when we see it's a source of vitality, of life force, and the movement of that life force generates love, then we're going to have a completely different attitude about the way that we develop together as a species and as a planet. So it's a very urgent time right now. We talk about climate change, and I think that what can really change it is coming from the heart. We have to really see it and realize how much we long for and love that feminine energy. And then, I think women also relax into that and become more beautiful, more radiant, and more of who they are. And everyone's happy. It's not like the feminine awakening is all about women. When men realize what their awakened woman is like, they realize they've longed for it since they left the womb, and that they get that endless, abundant, loving, juicy Shakti energy blessing them if they truly know how to love a woman and love her Shakti. So it blesses all of us. And I see like the possibility of Eden again, of paradise, if we can wake up to living like that.
Yeah. Thank you. That excites me. It's thrilling. I think it's also very tangible, right? To consider. So I'm really grateful. I know we're in opposite sides of the world. You just came out of a delicious, juicy yoga morning class. Here it's the evening. And I want to honor you, Shashi, for jumping on and for sharing your heart, sharing your wisdom. So thank you so much.
It's such a pleasure. And thank you for all the amazing work you do in the world. You've been one of my inspirations. I met you. And since you remember, we walked around the stone circle in England, feeling each rock like it was a lover and feeling the energy.
Oh yeah, that was, well, I found a sister in you, and it's always felt that way, even if a lot of time has passed. So yeah, my heart's definitely connected to yours. So thank you. And for the viewers, I have a little invitation for you, so stay tuned. You're invited to join this amazing conversation. Soon I'll be doing a training, Redefining Feminine Power, and I want you to be there. So click the link that comes with this video, join. Just for joining, I will be giving you a free downloadable gift, so definitely watch out for that. And if you can't make it at the time that the training is happening, don't worry. Because you've signed up, we'll make sure you get the replay, all right? So all you need to do is just click on the link, join the conversation, and let's redefine feminine power together.